My name is Ryan Bruce. I'm from Lions Bay, which is on the traditional territory of the Squamish Nation. I'm CLAC's BC Manager of Government Relations. Today, I moderated a discussion around language revitalization, and I've been able to get to know Scott Geary and the team from the First Nations Education Foundation, and just learned about the work that they're doing. It just has struck me over the years. It's really piqued an interest to look for ways to be able to support that work. As I mentioned today, it's like everything we've learned and heard about residential schools and their goals to erase Indigenous history and culture and identity. It's the work of language preservation, from what I've learned and what I understand, is incredibly important because there's such a connection between language and culture and identity. And I feel like at this point in time, it would be such a shame to allow those early architects of the residential schools to see their goals of eliminating that culture, that heritage, and that way of life. And so I think it's, for me, it's really about helping others tell the story of the work that they're doing, and encourage others to partner up and find ways to work together to be able to, across many nations across this province and this country, get busy on language preservation and revitalization. I've been attending for a number of years now, I think back to 2016. I grew up in a small town. I spent a lot of time on reserve with friends. One of my best friends is Maynard Johnny Jr., a Coast Salish artist. He and I have been discussing and debating and kind of learning together about the history of Indigenous people. I come from a political family, I can see the atrocities that happened, and it's sort of like I feel compelled to want to step up. Whenever I come to these events, I've always got Maynard and his brother Leon and my friends from school in my mind about what I've got a role to play, just like we all do, in helping to make lives better, for our Indigenous communities. And so it's conversations that happen around forums like this, where I think I have an opportunity to give back and be present and contribute to that good work. But it really comes from my early days, I think, and initially just seeing the difference between the life I had, which I'll be honest was pretty privileged, to the lives that many had on reserve that was not. And it didn't perhaps strike me at the time as being such a big deal, or I wasn't as obvious because I was just kind of young. But reflecting back on that as I've gotten older, I can see that we've got a lot of work to do. I think what Nation2Nation does is, and the way they've approached these forums, is the fact that they bring the forum to the community. I think there's a real niche there. I think that's such an important part of the dialogue. There's a lot of, from what I've learned over the years, there's a lot of barriers to bringing Indigenous people out of community. There's a comfort level that's here that they don't have elsewhere. I've seen it through our work with CLAC, with training, for example, and it's so important to have training in community, with their supports, with their, to build that, have that confidence to be able to, do the training for the jobs that are out there. And so, but by bringing the conversation here, it keeps people within their communities, within their support network. And I think that's the niche that Lisa and the team have struck, is like, let's bring that dialogue to the table. We just heard from Lisa Grant talking about, being at the decision-making table. Well, if these discussions are happening elsewhere, then there's going to be a whole pile of people potentially that are missing from that decision-making table, and that's clearly important. The conversation over a number of these forums, and certainly has been a focus of this one, is relationships. And being here, being present, allows a period of time to build a relationship, and through that you build trust. I think it just, being present year after year just kind of allows the work to be more meaningful. And so it's like, for us, and I'm grateful CLAC gives me the opportunity to push the organization into these places and be present here. And for us, it's about being here every time, being present, and doing our part. We represent 70,000 members across the country. I can see in our own internal staff engagements, whether it's our national staff retreats or stewards conferences. These conversations that we're having here are happening amongst our membership, you know. And you think about that many people touching that many different workplaces, all having, you know, through the experiences I'm having, being able to have other touch points that kind of open minds and open hearts to what others can do in the workplace. I think the ripple effect, I hope, is going to be long-term and meaningful. For Lisa and the team and Nation2Nation, I just want to congratulate you for another successful event. I encourage you all to keep building this network, keep bringing us together, and I commit on behalf of CLAC that we're going to be there and supporting year after year. So thanks very much.